suppose the momentum went away from you from the kick-off, didn't it? And you never really got it back.
Yeah, it did. It was obviously an unfortunate error there at the start of the game. All we did from then on, it seemed, was defend. Got on the wrong side of the energy battle, but we have to handle those situations better. Have to. Then that was compounded. The error was compounded by losing Wonga. Then we do more defending. Thought our first up contact was really poor at the start of the game. An area that we spoke about being better in because players like Ryan Hall, Peter Hikua, the backfield. They're a strong team, good ball carriers, a lot of run threats. We needed to control that side of the game and didn't do it from minute one. We looked drained of energy after that, and things didn't really get any better.
You conceded 2 while Wonga was off, but then on your left edge, the right, they gave you a torrid time, didn't they? That resulted in you swapping your wingers in the end.
Yeah, they did. I thought again, we got rolled down the field far too easily. Then became, we're really under pressure and under fatigue. Made really poor decisions on edge, and that's where, champion teams, systemically stay together in those circumstances. That's how you get out of tough periods. But we had a lot of individuals trying to solve things on their own, and doing things that are out of our defensive system. Yeah, and your summation's right. Our left edge, had a bit of a torrid time, particularly in the first 40 minutes.
When Jordan Whitley made his debut today, it was not the ideal game for a young half-back to make his debut when you're not winning any of the collisions, especially. But I thought he stuck at it and he got a try in the end, which he must be pleased about.
I thought he was very good. When you're an 18-year-old half-back making your debut and you don't have a platform, you're going to have a tough day. And I thought he handled it really, really well. Kept going at the game. Obviously, they're going to send some traffic his way and test him out there defensively. And he kept putting his body in front. He was really brave there. I thought, he was one of the real positives to come out of the game. But Johnny Vaughan continues to compete hard. Sammy Roll came off the bench, and Jay Burns competed really hard. And I thought the two front rowers, Noah Stevens and George Delaney, were outstanding as well in terms of the way they went after the game. I suppose what the message is there that at this moment in time, it's probably the younger generation of the squad that are setting the standards at this moment in time.
I don't suppose your half-time team talk was a very easy one. Did you see some improvements after the break?
There was some improvement, yeah. Because there had to be, just because I don't think the first 40 could have got any worse really. So there had to be some improvements, and we got that. We had a bit more intent about our day. I think Ignatius set the tone there at the start of the second half. But again, ultimately we were good enough in the second 40 as well, and that told on the scoreboard also. It's obviously a very disappointed dressing room at this moment in time. I'm not to say too much at the moment because obviously got to go back and obviously watch the game again. Yeah, but as the coach, I'm not stupid. I know we're way off where we needed to be.
To be fair, Hull KR were very slick with the ball.
They were excellent, and they have been for a good number of weeks now. We spoke about them during the week, about their threats and how we had to be good in certain areas to nullify them. And realistically, we gave them everything that they needed. And like I say, they're a dangerous team, a team in form, a team playing with confidence, and undoubtedly the form team of the competition right now. So we had to be good, and we're anywhere near that.
I have to ask you about Tommy's sending off. It's an unusual situation when nobody in the ground, including the player who's sent off, the player who's allegedly been hit, or anybody else thinks it's a sending off, but it still happens.
It's very unusual. Yeah. And look, there's certain aspects of the game. Like I'm watching the NRL, I ain't see any of this nonsense. And I think fans and players alike are getting really frustrated with it. But my message to our players is tough, because the game ain't going to change. Incidents are going to get re-refereed. My only frustration with it is the lack of consistency. Some incidents do, some incidents don't. Some incidents get red, some incidents get yellows. But ultimately we need to be better. The discipline was poor.
No Alex Walmsley today, he was in your squad? But
Yeah, he got injured during the week, pulled his hip flexor, so obviously not ideal, but we couldn't play him. At risk of worsening that and him being out for the season, so we had to make a sensible call. We'll hopefully maybe fit for next week, but that still remains to be seen.
You'll have Morgan Knowles back, I think, next week, but anyone else, is it still looking as bad as it is today?
Yeah, Morgan Knowles, potentially Alex Walmsley. So again, the situation is what it is, and I don't want to sit here talking about players that aren't playing. Our reality is getting the best out of the players that are playing, and we ain't getting that at the moment. There might be a number of reasons for that. Look, someone like Matty Lees, for example, he's almost been, for large parts of this season, like carrying the camp. And there's a couple of other players who could probably throw with it though. So we've asked a hell of a lot of Leeser. It wasn't his greatest day today. But if anybody's got a little bit of an excuse, it's probably him. But at the same time, the situation isn't going to change dramatically for us in the next few weeks. So it's going to be a real test of character.
It's all getting a bit hairy around that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th area in the table, isn't it? And only 4 games left. It's getting close to must-win territory almost at Huddersfield next week.
Getting close to that, yeah, I would agree. And we know the situation we're in. I've spoken to the players about not shying away from that. We need to win a minimum of 2 games if we want to make the 6, maybe even 3. So that's our reality. We've just got to deal with it.
Mike?
You mentioned the system, your defensive system. Obviously you've got a very, very changed side. There's no alibi coming from you for that. You expect those players to slot into that system and that side across, because they seem to create an overlap with these, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they show me week in, week out in training that they can do it. So that's why, I feel that we need to handle pressure situations better, and you handle pressure by staying within the system, not coming out of the system. And we had too much of that today. It wasn't helped by, and the fundamental part of our performance today was a lack of intent in terms of our first up contact and winning tackles. All of a sudden you've got Parcell, Litton, Michael Lewis just having a field day, Tyrone May at the start of the game. We gave them everything that they wanted, and a lack of collective buy-in to that side of the game really hurt us.
You mentioned you started this, thinking you started that second half with a bit more intent there, and that sort of led something. But I think what you're saying, you need that from the outset, don't you, next week?
Yeah, well, one thing I said to the players at half-time, at 26-0 down, after a first half performance like that, in the second 40 we are going to find out who actually cares. And that's the one positive to come out of today, is that we'll find out in that 40 minutes who actually cares. And I'm going to watch the 40 minutes back, the second 40 as well as the first 40, to ascertain who it is that out there that found their effort when the game was gone. Because, like I said, the first 40 was way off. The second 40 was better, but again, not where it needs to be.
I suppose you just damaged the limitation that second half, haven't you, really?
It was, yeah. It's the perfect way of putting it. We never looked like at any point from minute 1 to minute 80 winning that game.
George Rixby's shown you enough there that he will appear again in these coming weeks, won't he? Because he had a crack in things.
Yeah, he did. Tried things, kept going at the game. A really commendable performance from a young half on debut who, like I've already said, was playing in a team that got beaten up. So I liked a lot about what George did today, and he's shown, in that debut, despite the result, despite the performance, that he's shown that he can be a really good player for this club for a long, long time.
You talked about discipline throughout the year, but the sin then really was costly, wasn't it? You killed it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating me, if I'm honest, as a coach, because I thought at the first half of the season we really improved ourselves from a discipline perspective, but we seem to have regressed into old habits. Tommy Makinson's frustrated in the dressing room because he's asking, I don't know what it is I'm meant to do, but ultimately the game's gone down the route and they ain't going to change. So I've not seen that incident back, so I don't want to defence on me. I don't want to come out and also lambast him. I'd have to watch it again. But too often now we're having players leave the field and it's having an impact on our performance.
They forced a couple of dropouts, perhaps one, no one of them, perhaps you could have, one could have caught the ball and returned it. I don't want you to sort of go through line by line of things that went wrong, but is that a sign of things that weren't going quite right? Or did you do the right thing?
No, he did do the right thing. He should have caught the ball. You know, I always say to all back five, under pressure in those situations, if you don't think you can get a clean catch, you can knock the ball dead and we back our defence. But when you got the opportunity to get a clean catch and there's nobody within 15, 20 metres, we have to make that catch in the end goal, sprint back to the 22-metre line, tap it as fast as you can and run. That's what I expect in terms of a centre, winger, full-back in those situations within our team.
Once you've gone through the team and once you've gone through this 80 minutes there and you've looked through it and you've seen who's wanted it and who's not, what options have you got? Because you've not got a lot of bodies to bring in, have you?
No, we haven't got a lot of options at all. You know, that's the situation we're in. So we've got choices to make. I've got choices to make in terms of how we approach next week, but the players have got choices to make around how they want to approach next week as well. Because like I've already mentioned, our reality is what it is. We need to win a minimum of 2, possibly 3 from 4 games. That's how we do that.